This is the Triad Real Estate Collaborators Podcast, brought to you by First American Home Warranty and Ashley Williams, Brittany Cook with Movement Mortgage, Tyler Castle with Steele and Vaughn Moving, Drew Brandon with Home Team Inspection Service, and Sean, Lori, and Brian with Stegall and Clifford Attorneys at Law.
All right, so we're here with Victoria Melton with eXp Realty.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, got it. All right, so everybody switches brokerage so much it's hard to, I'm sure I'm going to say one wrong at some point. Ashley Williams is here. Brittany Cook is here. We're really excited to have you because, you know, you have brought inspiration to us this morning in your coffee mug. You can hold it up to the camera. It's just up there. We were just talking about how you might let some four-letter words slip, and I was like, well, you're already doing it on camera.
I know.
With the mug,
this is my subliminal messaging. This is what is Chris Farley, the motivational speaker?
Right.
Oh, yes.
Down by the
Matt
river in a
Foley.
van.
Yeah.
This is my motivational speaking without saying it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like it.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So how long have you been in real estate? How'd you get started? What'd you do before?
Only 4.5 years. I've been with eXp the whole time. I got started by default. A friend of mine had a property management company, and we were out with a group of people, and he said, I need a realtor in my office. He already had one. He wanted another. So I said, if I get my license, will you just hire me? And I didn't want to be in the rat race. I didn't want to be involved. For me, it was not going to be the competitive jump in the market, who's who.
Right.
It was just helping this person out. I had a strong Rodan and Fields team for 10 years. I was a stay-at-home mom for most of those years. By this time, my oldest two were in college, and I still have one at home. He's a junior now. But when I got my license, COVID hit. So I didn't get my license because of COVID, and people come at me for that. And I'm like, even if I did, so what? But it wasn't that. It was just like, the joke in my house is, gosh, mom decides to do a career change and the world shut down.
Yeah.
Like, it did.
Yeah.
April 1st, I hung my license, and nothing was open, nothing. And I was attracted to the company I'm with because I could do everything. It was the only cloud brokerage moving at the time. Mm-hmm. And I had everything at my fingertips. And what happened was the original plan, my friend took on another company. He did not have time to train me. And he was also navigating the shutdown.
Right.
What he could do, and he was like, I just don't have time to train you. And that was probably the biggest blessing in disguise, because it wasn't going to be a career. It wasn't going to be a hobby. It was just going to be a job that, okay, you have a property, an investor needs to list it. Let's do this. And so that's how it started. But through the few years I've been in it, you know, you learn a lot. You see that there's so many different things you can do in the business. It doesn't have to just look the same way every day.
Right.
And I like that too. And then the more I started watching other realtors, what they were doing, how they were acting, I just thought, you know, for me, I'm coming to replace you because you're a jerk.
Oh, wow.
And that, you know, things don't get me out of bed in the morning. A vision board is just not going to work for me. I don't really give a shit about a yacht or a vacation home or any of those things. They're great things, but it doesn't get me out of bed. It's not going to put me to work. What I noticed is people were so crude and so rude, and we're in an industry that worships leadership. And it's not because they want to be leaders, they want followers. And I think that's weird. There's not any other industry like that. Like, I want people with me. I want people to go with me. I don't want followers. I want to go, you go, I go. I go, you go. And I just noticed that the following is almost like a cult. It's not your brokerage that's the drinking of the Kool-Aid. It's the people need people to work. And I don't need that. I'm not different in that aspect, but I don't need some fancy leader above me to tell me how to work and feed my family and provide. I think that's bullshit. So I feel like the industry is full of that. And so when I started noticing how people were working with me, or a lot of people will work against me, and I'm like, we have the same cause. Why is this a problem?
Right.
And we're not answering for our sellers or buyers. We're answering what they said. We're just a messenger. And so it's really funny how people butt heads. And I feel like through all the years that this industry has been full of bullies and I think that era of real estate is over. It has to be about relationships.
At least among the top producers, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we experience bullies on a daily basis that, we're a vendor, right?
Right.
And, we still...
The word
hate
vendor.
that, yes.
The word, yeah.
It's like, I am not a vending machine. You do not press numbers
Right.
Well, we want
get a
partners.
snack out of me.
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
we want
Like,
relationships too, and so the
sure.
vendor aspect of it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't like the word
We get bullied
vendor.
all the time by
Oh,
people.
yeah.
But we don't take it, but
Right.
it does.
Because you don't
it's still
have
there.
to.
Yeah,
There's
for sure.
plenty of us to go around.
Yeah.
You won't lack in business because you cut a relationship out. That's the thing people don't understand. Realtors are a dime a dozen. So if one of your partners don't like something you do, that's not the end for them. And I treat everyone I work with the utmost respect. You don't know where your next client's coming from.
Right.
You don't know, and it's stressful enough. I don't know what underwriting does. I don't really care to know, to be honest. You just tell me, are we good or are we not? And that's when staying in your
Does
lane.
anybody actually know what underwriting does?
What do they
I
do?
don't think it.
What do
What
they
do
do?
they do?
Brittany?
They really try, you know. So there were so many changes that happened, like during COVID, with like guideline changes, and then with the drop in volume, where investors would just take the file from the lender and be like, "Okay, cool," and then they didn't have as many to like pass through, so they are examining them with a fine tooth comb. So, you know, they end up sometimes they'll send files back to lenders and be like, "This isn't right, so you can have it back." So then the lender, you know, has to service that loan, you know, from their own funds. And so it's really not that underwriters are trying to be a pain.
Right. It's almost like a compliance team. You got to make
Yeah,
sure
for
everything
sure.
lines up.
Yeah, and I think that loan officers in general, a lot of loan officers, don't do the best job with explaining to the client. You know, like the number one thing I hear all the time is people are like, "I sent them my bank statement 3 times. Did the loan officer or the loan officer assistant tell you why we couldn't accept those bank statements?" Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so the whole like communication thing is, you know, super, super important. And, you know,
It is.
trusting your partners and whatnot. But anyway,
So
partner.
I'm really curious. So you got your license and the world shut down.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah. So don't.
Sorry, guys.
We
But
blame
look,
you.
but now look at you.
I know. Well, just don't do anything else new. But just keep doing what you're doing.
Yes,
We don't want the
please
world
don't.
shutting down.
Milton's coming in.
So I mean, like I know what it was like having an established business during that time.
Right.
What was it like building something during that time when everybody is just like not willing to do anything, not wanting to do
Right.
anything? You couldn't even show houses in some areas around here
Right.
too, right? So
I think it was good for me because I've never been one to take the easy road. I feel like you don't learn anything and it doesn't grow you to just do the easy thing. And I didn't know, and I will say this, what helped me the most is the company that I am with, because we had all these trainings and I wasn't reporting to an office. So I didn't know. I didn't know the bar. I didn't know the average sales of a real estate agent in a year. So being naive probably helped me the most.
Sure.
I wasn't thrown into that competition of, oh, I got to beat this person. I got to beat this person. All I did interview with quite a few brokerages in between when I knew that the original plan was not going to work out. And there were 3 that specifically said, because I'm in my 40s, they said, at this point in your life, do you think you can handle the technology?
Oh, no.
And I wrote these 3 names down and introduced myself to the broker I had at the time. And I said, how do we pull their numbers? Can you pull their... I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't even have a number.
Right.
The only number I had was a big goose egg on my production and
my
a license number. And they said, why do you want this? I said, I need to set a bar for myself, and I'm going to beat these people. And that is, to this day, my top drawer of my desk, that sticky note, I beat every one of their
That's
production.
a great
So-
story. I love that.
So how are you handling the technology?
Oh my.
My social media is not good. My social media is not good. That's because I do stupid things. But and I have stories that I can't even put on social media, like the one you found.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never publicly posted that until that day about losing a pair of panties.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh.
In a showing.
Oh, and I took it to our website, our Facebook group, and
Yeah.
said, "Oh my gosh, let's have a contest."
Who has a crazy story?
And
Let's start it off with Victoria's story.
I thought, I will never forget that. And if you, but you know the history now, because I was like, you have to know about this big underwear and how it haunts me. And it does. And so,
What is the story?
so I got up early one morning. I had a very early closing, and our walkthrough was at 7:30 a.m.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like one eye open, and I'm usually jeans, heels,
Did
and a
your
blouse.
shoes match or?
My shoes match.
Brittany's shoes don't match today,
And
just for the record.
so I pull these jeans out of the dryer, throw on my blouse. I'm good to go. Go through the final walkthrough. Good, everything's great. Go to the closing, smooth as can be. I had 3 showings after, actually 4 showings. By the 3rd showing, I walk in this house and I feel something around my ankle. And I thought it was like the fringe on my jeans. And I'm going in the living room, and my buyers, I hear them coming up the sidewalk. And there is a big pair of Soma panties coming right out of my jeans. And I must have looked like I had a growth on my leg all day, because they were not small. They were the kind that it's like a blanket under your clothes. Like, and I had only, and there's the story behind these is even funnier, but we won't get into that. And so I'm shoving them under a stranger's couch, thinking, if they have a camera in here, I've lost my job. And if I forget these, someone's going to get divorced, or the woman is going to be like, "You deserve that. If you're
that's
messing
where you're
around
going,
with
right,
someone with those kind of panties, you get what you get." And so I remember locking up, and they're leaving, and we had one more to go to, and they said, "No, we locked up. You're good. Let's just go." And I'm thinking,
My underwear.
I can't leave. I
I think I
can't
left the
leave.
faucet on. I got to go.
Yeah,
Check it.
and I said, "Well, let me double check. It's if when I sell your house, you're going to want me to be this cautious." That's how I played it.
Good. That's a good comeback.
And so I had slung those suckers all the way to the wall, that I start pulling out the couch, and I can't, my short T-Rex arms, I'm only 5'1", could not reach them. And so I'm moving strangers' furniture to get these big, and listen, if your person is shopping at Soma, your relations are over. It's gonna die. That's what that is. That's a relationship killer. Those Soma bags, they're not Victoria's Secret, let me tell you.
Oh, that is so funny.
But
oh my God.
but there are so many. I think my worst one was the bidet.
Oh, yes. I think that's the one that we put on the Facebook post.
Yeah, could be.
The
Yeah.
bidet. I thought it was the
But
panty
the way
one.
you said it, the way you wrote it, it was just hysterical. Well, I mean, it's how you talk.
No,
But
yeah,
funny.
that one, the secondhand embarrassment from that kid, first time showing this guy a house. I sold a house to his parents, and single dad. It was a VA, and we go in this house, cute as can be house, and I had just got done showing houses earlier in Winston, and this was outside of Raleigh. But the house, one particular house I showed, had those after market toilet seats it didn't have the bidet. It was a seat warmer. It was a seat heater. And we turned it on, and I wasn't sitting on it, but I was like, oh, that's what that is. It was plugged in and everything. So this house we go into in Raleigh, switching over real quick, he was like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's a seat warmer. I'm like, look, and I turn it, and the water sprays. And the force, my contact is sliding down in toilet water, the wall, and I am soaked from head to toe. And he's just like this. He's just this young guy, kind of my daughter's age. Like, what do I do? What do I do? And the more I try to turn it off, the harder it gets. Like the jet stream. Well, you couldn't move your face because you're trying to look and see. My hair was soaked. My blouse was soaked. We finally get it off. The bathroom is flooded. And it had builder grade paint. So if you splash water and don't wipe it off, it's gonna stay.
Stain, yeah.
So I look at him and I'm like, I don't want to say his name. I'm like, I know you have something in your car. You have a kid. You gotta have something in your car. He comes back and he goes, I have dirty sweatpants. I'm like, give them to me. I mop the floor and wipe down the walls. And then we walk the block because I'm like, I got to make sure this dries. We did buy the house. He did buy the house. He got the house.
Did he keep the bidet?
Well, he texted me later and he said, my 4-year-old son knew exactly what that was. And I was like, thank you. I said, I'll take him with me now. He can do my job. But and he'll send me pictures, like if he sees one in a store, like Costco had a big shipment like a year ago.
Big shipment.
And he was like, a big shipment. And he took a picture and he was like, thinking of you.
That's
and I'm like,
so
thanks.
Never live it down. Never
Yeah,
live it
I
down.
had to meet my daughter and her fiance after that in Raleigh. And she was like, it just started raining. Why are you so wet? And I'm like, let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Situation.
What happened to your contact?
It was fire putting it back in.
Oh, God.
Or I couldn't drive. I'd be like Popeye.
Yeah.
It was,
Right.
I mean, the burn wore off eventually. But
Oh, my God. Victoria, you kill me.
it was like fire. But anytime I've done something, I think the days of pretending that, yes, you have to be professional, but yes, weird things happen.
Look, you take it seriously. Don't take yourself seriously.
Right.
Right.
You
Seriously.
take what they need seriously, but if things happen, anytime I've done something really dumb, and there's a list. We end up with the house.
We're gonna have a show. We're gonna invite the people that have those lists, and we're just gonna tell stories.
Write a book.
I've got a ton of them too.
Because there are other agents I talk to that why would you do that? Why? That's so, like, they want to be professional and they want to be professional. I'm like, I feel like you're more approachable when people say that you're human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you
Absolutely.
definitely take that seriously because that's the most money any average person is going to spend in their whole life.
Yeah.
If you don't take that seriously, but big panties and bidet sprays are pretty funny.
It's pretty funny.
Pretty funny. Pretty
We
funny.
have a toilet sprayer in our house because we decided we were going to be green and try to do cloth diapers. And
goodness.
it was a mess. We have to like hose it off into the
Yeah.
toilet.
Oh,
It's
gosh.
disgusting. But my kids don't remember that because they were diapers, and we never took the toilet
Did you
sprayer.
stay with that?
No, we didn't, because I got frustrated and I was like, these kids are getting disposable diapers. It's fine when they're infants because you can just toss it in the laundry and
Right.
it's fine. But they don't remember anybody having cloth diapers, so they walk into the bathroom the other day and pick it up and use it as a microphone. And it's got this like, so they're over here singing with the toilet spray, and I'm like, okay.
It's a toy now.
It's a toy. It's not a clean one. It's not
That's
not
so
a
funny.
clean one.
not a clean toy. We need to remove that probably pretty soon.
It might be useful later.
It might be.
I mean, it could be. It still can be useful now if you need to hose stuff off.
Yeah.
But
I would.
yeah,
I would keep it.
Yeah.
Keep the
Yeah.
sprayer.
I've had to take a shower in a client's house before, but to get the water to turn off, I had to stand in the shower while sprayer jets were spraying me
Oh wow.
to turn off the sprayer jets because if I didn't do that, they were literally side jets that were spraying through the door across the bathroom.
So now you understand
I've
my
been
bidet dilemma.
Yeah,
You can't just move your face.
No.
You
No,
gotta
I had to take it right in
Yeah.
the chest and just wear it.
own it.
Yeah, and it was a 1 million house that they were buying as a second home because you buy second homes in Winston-Salem. Why wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
that puzzles me.
Yeah, it was a long story, but their daughter was at Wake and needed a place to stay, so they were like, "Oh, well, here's $1 million house," and money that I don't have and don't understand
I
fully.
scrape my 2 pennies together over
Ah.
here.
Yeah, it's
must be nice.
While I'm sitting there going like, I'm only charging you $700. That's not.
I want to.
price,
I want to
but-
know this house.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
There's a
I'll tell
lot
you
of
off the-
stories like that
Yeah.
about people sending their children to Wake and
Yeah.
buying a beautiful Buena Vista home.
Yes.
Yeah. This
Yep,
was
I
on the
heard
edge of Buena Vista, and but yeah, so they walk in, these well-established, very country clubbish type people, and
And you're drenched.
and they're like, "Is everything okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, everything tests fine."
It's all
Water
good.
pressure is
No leaks here.
As,
No leaks
as I
here.
walk away, it's like,
Did they didn't find that funny at all? Or
no, they
ask?
did. I explained what was going on. They're like, "Oh, that's good to know." And I was like, "Yeah, don't."
See, people have a sense. People actually have a sense of humor, and when
For sure.
you don't take
Some
yourself.
people don't.
Eh,
Some people don't.
Some people don't. You're
Some
right.
people don't.
That's fair.
I have stories about that too.
That's
but, you know,
fair. I try. Can't win them all.
can't win them all. And you know what? Those aren't people I want to hang
I
out
know.
with anyway.
I know. I feel like sometimes when I'm in with those kind of people, I'm ridiculous. Like I'm just bubbly, and I really don't care. That's who I am.
Yeah.
I want to laugh. I want to be.
You ever been told your jokes aren't funny?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh,
My
yeah.
wife does it daily.
I
Yeah.
don't really tell jokes. So.
Well, I don't really tell jokes either. They're like one-liner, like, you know what I mean? Like, and they're
Yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or when it gets quiet because you bring one full circle and
yeah.
it go and I'm like, dude,
Uh,
that was really good, and
right?
I'm not
Yeah.
getting credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thrive in awkward situations, so I usually point to the awkwardness of the joke not landing.
Yeah.
Right? I'll say a joke and then no one's there. If like I'm doing a presentation or something to agents and they're not paying attention to me anyway, because who wants to hear about home inspections? And I say a joke and it just goes flat, and I'm like, that wasn't funny? I know that was funny. And
See,
then like one person's like,
or like you got to explain it to them.
Right.
However, I did read that if you can be witty, like your IQ is high if you have wit, and that's a sign of being witty. And
Yeah.
Oh.
I need to start telling people
so
that.
we're in a room with high IQers.
That's right.
Because
That's
we're
right.
funny.
I might be the exception.
No, I think no. You have a good sense of humor, and you're a good storyteller, and I think that.
Yes.
I think when you become human in this industry, it makes it a lot easier to get through transactions, to be related,
Relatable.
Yeah. When, you have a client that's not, you don't know if their loan is going to close, if they had something come up. I haven't always been financially secure. I get it. Or first time home buyer come in $2,000 short on closing costs, and if a realtor doesn't eat that frustrates me the
Yeah.
most. Like that's an easy come on, we're here, we're at the end, and this is, and I kind of wish Kara was still in here because she and I have a really good story of a really hard deal we worked together, and we got along flawlessly. There was where most agents would be so high strung, and this was so intense that neither one of our seller or buyer was going to end up with this house. It
Right.
was such a
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
it was a tough one, and we sit back after it, and then at the end I remember my buyer was short on closing costs, and I was like, nope, this is happening.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it, sign it over. I can't imagine sitting at the closing table being so close for someone to get a home, especially a first time home buyer in a young family. and
you know-
someone
Well,
just
there's-
sitting there.
So many dominoes too, right? Like,
Yeah.
'cause then the seller doesn't get their stuff, and you guys don't get
Yeah.
commission, and like there's a lot.
Well,
a lot of
and
things
and
like that.
lenders and
Yeah.
home warranties, anything involved. And sometimes I guarantee there are times you didn't get paid for your job.
What?
If depending billing, if you bill at closing
Yeah.
and they don't close. And yes, you have the right to go after it, but how many people actually pony up and do the right thing?
Yeah.
And even attorneys, they're not getting paid either. If you're sitting there and it's so funny because I'll read on a lot of these social media pages, switching gears, about how I know my value and I know my time and I know this and da 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 da. And I'm like, there are so many realtors that'll be so close and sit there and not compromise anything. And I'm like, and we can't talk about commission publicly, but to say you get X amount, you can't give this amount, right?
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
some dollars is better than no dollars,
Yeah.
but at the same time, if it comes between someone actually getting a home, why are you in this, if this is your job?
Yeah.
You know what? Some of the best advice I ever got was people first and the money will come. And
Yeah.
you know, so like that's something that none of you guys see is that, and I do my absolute best to try to make sure this doesn't happen, to make sure that the client doesn't put every dollar they have to their name into the transaction.
But it happens.
But so many times, like they are literally closing and they cannot afford anything else on top of that. And you know, so hearing that, yes, like obviously you know your worth, like hello, but to have compassion for those people that like
Right.
that honestly could be the step that could change their life. Like
100%.
you know,
Yeah.
them owning a
Yeah.
home and adding that extra stream of income, you know, to it's
And just not renting, getting something
Yeah.
that they have equity in, because later when you sell, that's the most money you're going to make at one time.
for
Yeah.
sure.
And there, I had this really sweet couple from Boston who lived in Section 8 housing their whole life, and they came down to buy a house. And they bought a brand new construction. It didn't have a refrigerator. It didn't have a washer and dryer. They grew up going to laundromats. They never owned a washer and dryer. Like, this is real. And so the builder wouldn't put a refrigerator in it. And I remember walking into Lowe's and thinking, like, they had 4 kids. And they hooked me up. I said, I'm here to do this, this, and this. They said, do you want it at your address? And I said, nope, it's going somewhere else. And when I told them what it was for, I got an employee discount.
Oh, that's
And
fantastic.
they had it there by the time it recorded.
Oh, that's
And this whole
fantastic.
family. And I check in on them, and they're like, we never thought we'd have a home. Like, this is our
Right.
home.
That's
Yeah.
what it's all
They
about.
never,
Yeah, every
and
time.
yeah, and they have an acre. They have an acre of land.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I remember the dad saying, "This might not be so fancy," and I'm like, "No, this is fancy. You're owning a home that
Yeah.
all your children have a room in,
Yeah.
and
Something people take for granted. Like
100%. The only home my parents owned was foreclosed on, and I remember coming home from school and our stuff was being thrown out back in the day. Yeah, in front of everyone, school buses going by. I was 14 or 15 years old.
Oh, that's.
And I just remember how important it was. My mom would take me to all these parade of homes. So I grew up in Virginia Beach, and our parade of homes, it's probably a lot different or similar to it is now. They would take one street, and every builder would build a house on this street, and you would pay $5. And I remember her getting change. I was free. I was little. And she would scrape up change, and we just wander through these houses. She would have been the best realtor. And as I go through my job, I think of her. I'm like, gosh, there's a lot of parallels now. And she would just say, you could have a house like this one day. You can have something like this. Isn't this
so
beautiful? Isn't this? And
So empowering too.
Yeah.
it is. And it's so funny how something that was going on at 8 years old was setting me up for something
Yeah.
at 45. And
Yeah.
so as much as I do stupid things, I do take it very, very serious, and every deal is personal.
Yeah.
And to the point where in my EXP family, I work with a lot of men for the simple fact that I am so emotional that they help me be transactional. Like if you can balance both, if you can balance both, you have the perfect personality for the job. And in this business, I've also noticed that women and men are so segregated. Men don't like working with the women. Women don't like working with the men. I hear it all the time. And I'm thinking, really, if you learn from each other, you pull the empathy from a woman, the transactional side from a man, you can be the perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Because you have to hide those emotions from the client because
Right. You'll make them emotional.
They
Right.
have
Yeah.
no idea what goes
Yeah,
on.
they should
No.
have no idea.
Yeah.
No,
Sure.
they shouldn't. Every now and then I've had to say, hey, we've got this. We got to talk about it.
Sure.
But you don't want to have those conversations, and you try. But when it comes to people being short or people not having, I fold like a chair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it just. But that's, to me, that's what, I don't want to say stands out, but that's what makes a difference between running a business, being a bully, and just building relationships and
Yeah.
actually caring that, those, and a lot of people will coach first-time home buyers. This one gets me. Oh, this isn't your first home. This won't be your last
how
home.
do you know?
Thank you. A lot of people are going back to old traditions. They want to be rooted. They want to raise their family here. It's okay if it's 1,300 square feet. That doesn't make a difference. To some people, that's like
That's home.
5,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And it was to my mom. And so, I don't tell first-time home buyers that. I'm like, you can make it your own through all the years you want to be here. And if it's not your first home, that's okay too. There's no wrong answer in any of that. And so I really work on not being pushy.
That's great.
And anyway,
Yeah. Well,
That's why I
I
love
appreciate.
you.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here and sharing your stuff and being open and vulnerable
Yeah,
and being
seriously.
yourself.
Yes,
so,
that was a great.
but yeah,
thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks
Yeah.
for having me.